Shamala, can you see? Okay, there we go. Thank you for, yeah, there's Regina's new book. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday book celebration. My name is Malika Albrecht, and I am the founding editor of Redheaded Stepchild. We are close to submissions, but we will start back up. Hopefully a new issue will be out soon. If you weren't here previously, a couple of weeks back, we celebrated with Laura Lee Washburn, and Allison Blevins was a surprise guest. We were super excited about that, and I'm glad to see Laura is able to join us today. If you did not hear any of those poems read, or you haven't heard Allison read or Laura read, you're in for a treat tonight. I walked away from that very inspired. Allison Blevins is a queer, and Cal, I'm going to ask you to mute. Just a reminder that mute your microphone when somebody else is speaking. Allison Blevins is a queer disabled writer. She received her MA at Pittsburg State University and her MFA from Queen's University of Charlotte. She's a lecturer for the Women's Studies program at Pittsburg State University. She is also a poetry and nonfiction mentor at Middle Tennessee State University. Tonight we will be celebrating her new collection, Where Will We Live If the House Burns Down? Persea Press 2024. Some of Allison's other books are Cataloging Pain, YesYes Books 2023, Handbook for the Newly Disabled. I would love to hear you read from that, as a matter of fact, a lyric memoir. I may call you back up about that. And Slowly Suddenly, that came out in 2021. She also is the author of multiple chapbooks and some collaborative chapbooks as well. Keeping Up, which was Seven Kitchens Press, and Letters to Joan, Lithic Press 2019. And the two collaborative chapbooks are with poet Josh Davis, Fiery Poppies, Bruising Their Own Throats, which was Lyre Press 2023, and Chorus for the Kill, Seven Kitchens Press 2022. Allison is the founder and director of Small Harbor Publishing. If you haven't ever gone to their website, I've got a link in there. Please do so. She lives in Minnesota with her spouse and 3 children. Allison, thank you so much for being here again today. I feel like we got double blessed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this series and for all the folks who are here to listen. I'm really grateful that to have another chance to read for everyone. I'm going to read from the book first, and then I'm going to read some new things. So if you're not familiar, the collection is kind of over here, kind of a hybrid. There are 2 main characters and an increasingly unhinged narrator. And I'm lots of these characters. I decided tonight to read just the things that kind of make me chuckle. So you're allowed to laugh too, but you also don't have to. Medical waiting rooms remind Grimm of breathing or eating. How we all do this strange moving together as marionettes, like smelling armpits or earwax, or maybe dead skin squeezed from a tight black pore, like remembering the weight of a past lover on your body, like breaking apart or sewing together. Grim thinks of all the bears and cats and llamas she's reseamed with thread. Think of your own intangible pieces that once gapped. For a child, this being sewn is alchemy, like the beast come to life and roaring. Waiting together is like almost touching the tender slit between 2 toes, touch that is not yet touch. Medical waiting rooms always have an old man clearing his throat. This is standard. And his wife of 47 years hears the phlegm rattle his trachea again. I carry their portraits with me. Grimm, the sergeant, the children, watercolor on canvas. Grimm asks to write letters to her surgeon, anesthesia and morphine stupor. She wants to know how many stitches. Grimm and the sergeant have a fight. They tight smile, angry whisper. Grimm says she's writing a screenplay in her head. The sergeant tells Grimm she's speaking gibberish. The reel behind them glows. Grimm substitutes objects for all of the characters. The son will be fingernail clippings, the daughter a stuffed dog, the youngest white petticoats. Gibberish. Fine, Grimm whispers. I'm calling my mother. Nurses teach Grimm how to get out of bed. In the screenplay, she is a felled tree. Grimm has lost all feeling in her breasts and the fat pockets under her arms. I wonder if our audience wants to hear about each relapse in detail. In the mirror, Grimm notices grimace lines around her mouth. She rocks the body as if cradling an infant. Here is where we edge too close to sentimental. But perhaps only the ill and broken notice how mourning is both being veiled and the veil lifting. Grimm wants to tell the sergeant there is a dictionary for grief, but he wouldn't look up from his book. She fantasizes about thin pink wafers lined with pink cream and crisp, still warm meringues, sugar melting on the tongue. I want to say this is how Grimm tastes, but I don't mean to you, I mean to me. Packed in that crisp, thick melting is the body. Grimm wants to convince the sergeant she is still inside her body, make him a believer again. She pretends to still experience the nuance of touch, tickle, prick, tongue, but it is all just pressure. She moans anyway. The neurologist pricks her legs with a safety pin some visits, tosses the pin into the garbage pail when she leaves the exam room. Grimm keeps a collection of all the pins in a secret drawer with her children's baby teeth in labeled plastic baggies. Grimm remembers a fall day when she was a girl. She sat sweatered on her parents' brown sectional sofa. Rain fell, not a drizzle or a deluge, just fell. Midwestern rain in November. The house was warm, and she was warm in it. She remembers. This is how it feels to be whole and surrounded by soft. Years later, in Wisconsin winters, the lakes frozen in silence, interrupted only by shifting and cracking, filled her ears like the moan of a caged moon and ground stars waiting for casing and boil. Let's just do one more. I imagine most people masturbate when they have the house alone for over an hour, especially married folks and the elderly, the most lonely. Grimm has internalized hatred of the aging body. If this is just the middle, if they can just keep going, where will we live if the house burns down? Going to read some um of my black holes essays that I've been working on, and I made a little big book post earlier, and I'm not going to elaborate here either, but I'm gonna read some of these essays now that I like very much and I'm very excited about. Okay, let's this one is titled After My Husband and I Argue, Our Daughter Texts Me from her room to tell me she loves me. I think of powder orange ditch lilies, see old friends Molly and Jenna at 16, 1996, homemade hemp braids tied around their necks, cigarette smoke filling a sun-streamed car. We are a car filled with girls, here for a moment and gone. Now we are just me and the children again on every road. Red volunteer fire department barn and roadside scripture. Our car, a small boat softly rocking. A version of joy behind us and in front. So many songs about whippoorwills. Men sing us to birds, soft as the fine pollen pluming from tree branches. Nutmeg Road and the Restoration Church of Jesus Christ. Space Hog, Alanis Morissette, the Smashing Pumpkins. I think of all those who carried, who ushered. My heart won't survive you calling me a martyr one more time. I want to say someone in the room was playing the piano. The sound of the piano is part of the story as I remember it. I've always wanted to be the sort of woman who looked good in a hat, especially important now. Mayan gods brought the world into being on August 13th, 3114 BC. Placed 3 hearthstones into the sky, created the universe and cosmic order. The maize god sprouted from the back of the earth turtle. What sort of fat woman do others see me as? In my own body, I don't imagine myself embodied, only in the mirror. Einstein claimed imagination more important than knowledge. I assume a woman thought this first. If the Milky Way is a pathway between worlds, our dead leave the underworld, travel this divine path to be reborn as stars. We've discovered 58 navigational stars in our version of the sky. The red giant Arcturus, the herdsman, and the last stage of slow stellar death is the 4th brightest. Our sun will one day go nova, transform. Imagine seeing your own future with such certainty. You see the past shining in the sky in front of you, all around you. Know you'll become a planetary nebula, become gas like a transparent eye. I hope my daughter values her worth better than me. Did you know astronauts describe the smell of their suits after returning from space as spent gunpowder? Did you know blue is hotter than red? Who can escape wonder, awe? I can't let go of your words. I am confronted by the enormity. We were never meant to see the birth of creation, but the trick of space is light living on, moving in every possible direction. Light finds a way, demands we reckon with our history. We are all just 10-year-olds on our backs, sweat in the summer night, chlorine salting our skin. We are all that dome of darkness, tenting every possible point on the horizon. We are travelers, backs warm against this time machine of dust, bone, and water. I think I have time for one more. So I think we'll do Okay, so the title of this is The Journal of a Disappointed Woman, and it's after a book called The Journal of a Disappointed Man. And the writer's name was Bruce Frederick Cummings, and he wrote it under a different name. It's called The Best Known Personal Account of Multiple Sclerosis. After publication, it was also called Disgusting, Immoral, and Genius. 3 things I hope to be called as a writer. The Journal of a Disappointed Woman, January 13th. My daughter memorized the smell of my favorite perfume, the fancy perfume for going out. Spicy, though I prefer florals for every day. I know I once chased my children around our yard on summer days. The air honeysuckle and trumpet vine, we'd picnic, cookies decorated like hamburgers, and watermelon piled into plastic disposable bowls. I know how awake I once was, how a moaned sigh or the shuffle of sheets against their tossing bodies would rouse me from bed across the distance of our house. January 19th. My son's school told him no one needs medicine for pain. On a recent trip to New Orleans, he stopped speaking for 2 days after walking through a cloud of marijuana smoke, certain he would die. He didn't want to bother us with this terrible news. February 3rd. How do you measure being alive? I think it must be breathing. Here I am, breathing. March 2nd. I can't find a way out of this body. March 5th. I've fallen in love with Janet Levin, with the sound of her voice, reading her own words. My husband doesn't want to listen to black hole books in the car, doesn't appreciate my research. He doesn't understand loving another writer, how love spills from the page and strangles my heart. I don't understand even half the science, but I understand sibilance and mellifluous, tongue on teeth and air pause behind pursed lips before pushing out into the world. March 12th. This illness, the pain, has devoured the wide middle of every spectrum. Perhaps it is gray missing or white. What I mean is, I've fallen into a world of binaries, a world I left at 16, queer and angry. Disease is stomping me back into a box where the only options are joy or despair. March 13th. I lost hours today in physics message boards searching for a word that means the unsettled hunger in my sternum. Scientific laws are true, but not absolute. Uncertainty isn't enough. I understand why so many prominent physicists have committed suicide. Consider the surface of last scattering. A sphere of photons surrounding us like a fog from the Big Bang, the furthest we can see, the observable universe, like blood spattered on white during birth, our past like a line in the sky. But what of the universe beyond this boundary of creation? How am I to live knowing how much of what we call law comes from the thought experiments of men? May 3rd. Inside my tall floral mug, Earl Grey steeps in a delicate sachet, white triangular prism, a porcelain doll's petticoat. May 14th. Ducks and geese and wild turkeys spottle the roadside. This morning, an iridescent goose ruled our cul-de-sac from the neighbor's roof. His honking and snorking echoed into the living room. My thesaurus provides no synonyms for honk. I can understand the trouble, cluck or squawk or toot, maybe tootle, but none capture the way his voice lives like a bass chord in my chest, tied to memories of bread and pond water and my father's hand holding mine. My father turned 70 last year. All the words I haven't said to him pool and burn behind my eyes and the bridge of my nose. May 30th. I love you. Unapologetic and plain. Joan and Laura and Michelle, Dustin and Josh, Corey, I love you. It is good to say it straight, without the disguise of qualifier or hedge, without the fear of connotation and implication. Love means nothing, and also I will come to you. I will break myself, run on these pitiful legs, write words only you will fiddle in your mouth. Thank you so much.
Perfect freaking poem to end on. Holy smoke. I was trying to like write it down because I did not want to lose that line. I will break myself. Thank you. Y'all can unmute. We can just take a moment. Holy smoke.
Wow.
Just
Yeah.
wow,
Wonderful poems.
unbelievable. They're so they're so clear. They're so clear in being profound. Like I feel like you're touching something that I try to reach for when I write a poem, and you got there many, many, many times.
Oh, thank you so much.
Many times. Many times.
I like that description of being touched, and there's a place it felt like it expanded out, but then hit home. And I'm like, how the hell did you just do that? I'm not sure I know.
Me either.
I'm just
Right.
grateful. I think it's a thrill when somebody's able to do that. I think that's why I love poets, because things touch me in a way or hit home in a way that is I don't experience elsewhere. It's almost like meditation, but it's a communal experience. It was lovely to see the chat section as things hit home. And Shamala, you and I were on the same page today with some of the.
Yes, I noticed that.
I thought it was funny. It was
It's
like side by side. Go ahead.
it's just wonderful. I always appreciate, like, it's easy to write about joy and beauty and deep thoughts if you're having an easy life. But when things are hard, when your body is not, I'm a cancer survivor, so when your body doesn't belong to you, or, in that place, your description of the ice, it's like, okay, deeply sad, but also, my God, so beautiful. And the language was both like, oh yeah, that's exactly right, and yet how surprising the words were. So, you know, that's wonderful.
You. I think I had such a good subject because, as you know, this idea of space is so massively huge, but the way that it was connected very personally, not by even me, but by neurologists, by calling this specific type of lesion a black hole. They invited the poet in to their business, because it just seemed so crazy that they would call it that, and it made it really easy to make the connections between small and big.
Well, that was beautiful. and really powerful. Somebody just wrote truly, Sandy did, truly transcendent and specific. Yeah, and again, it's that sense of being brought out into this vastness, and I'm kind of going, I don't know where I am, and then something would hit home, and I'd be like, wait, yeah, Sandy just did the booms. Exactly, that's how I felt. So thank you, and I'm excited about your vague booking on Facebook.
Me too.
Love good news, and I can wait for it. It's good. It's good. Does anybody have any questions? Because we didn't, I think last time we did the same thing where we just really enjoyed talking, but we didn't have specific questions for Allison or for Laura. Does anybody have, yes, go.
The structure of the book, because Malika, you said something in your introduction that there was something.
Of this book, the structure. Yeah, well, it's there, so it's written as flash pieces that all tell one story. So I sort of wrote them as I was really thinking of them as speculative nonfiction when they were written, and that I wanted to make sure, I was creating this narrative, and so but it is fictionalized, some of it, and it won a poetry prize. So the structure of,
Not
it,
surprised.
it's all things to all people.
It works. Any
I
other
have
questions?
one
Yes,
thing I've
Cal.
been wanting to say. I tried to put it in chat, but for some reason it didn't work. Is squawk good enough synonym for honk?
Maybe.
That fascinated me.
It's funny the things that stick with you. Also, sweatered as a verb, as a childhood, sweatered. I love that. It
Don't
was
you
so
love
good for
nouns
how
that turn into verbs? And vice versa. I always love that. I always love that because that's the poetic license, right? There it is. I mean, it's
And-
exquisite.
yeah, and when it's done well, it's just like,
Yeah.
how come I've never heard that? Because that's
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's a question so much as a comment. So I'm one of those annoying people, right? Which is I had the I mean, I had the charmed experience of seeing you read in Minneapolis in December, the beginning of December. And um and I saw you read earlier this month at Cultivating Voices. And they're very, very different experiences because I really think you're coming to these experiences. I mean, I'll let you speak to your experience, but my experience of you is that you're arriving very differently. You have a different level of energy. I mean, you share or you won't share about that. But what I want to say is hearing you tonight, because I was the host the last time, so I had a lot of things going on. But it was like I got to hear you like unplugged, like the acoustic version, like of a virtuoso. It was like the acoustic version of hearing you read in Minneapolis. And they're like both were stunning. Like both were stunning. And what that means is it means that the work is so prismatic because it could hold all of that. And so I guess my question is, how is it like to read now for you as you're going through these treatments, you're going through an emotional physical gauntlet. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to put words to it. It's your experience.
I think because there's only been a few readings so far that I'm not sure. And everyone's so amongst friends. Yeah, and I think that makes it easier. So perhaps reading to live humans will feel different than the computer versions. I think it feels safer to read like this first too, and that is nice, to kind of get my feet wet before joining the wider world with no hair and as a different kind of person.
There
It's a
was
good question.
there's such a warmth to your reading tonight.
I'm on camera.
I really felt like, honestly, it was like I was being read bedtime stories. Like I just felt like embraced by your work. Wholly embraced.
I guess I should start reading bedtime stories then. Is there money in that?
I don't
Maybe.
know, but okay, if there is, you're the voice of bedtime stories.
There should be. But I think, Sandy, you're hitting on, sometimes different communities have like an intimacy. And I think, Allison and Laura and lots of y'all are, friends in real life with Allison. So it's a little bit different. And in a live setting, I think of how much, particularly people that are sensitive to energy, I mean, that changes everything. It does. And we can hold space in a virtual setting in a way that allows it to, I love the acoustic version. I love that concept. But I think holding space is something that's very important to this group and the people that have been a part of this group. If that's what it feels like to me, because I know our open mic, which you get to hear tonight, Sandy, but I mean, our open mics have traditionally just been people taking huge risk and really writing their asses off and sharing fire. And so I love that, though. Acoustic version I'm keeping. It's gonna be the Thursday Unplugged. I really want to take a moment to say that last time when Laura and Allison were together, it was obvious to me the deep friendship, and I have to say I really love that. And to me, last time the poems really, there was a similarity. There was some kind of way of being in the world of poetry, the sonic architecture, the powerful use of images, and the leaps spoke to each other, to me. And I think other people had that too, because I know in the chat section, quite a few people were commenting on that. But I wanted to take a moment to say, Laura, thank you so much for coming. I mean, both you and Allison, these are hard times, challenging times. And I did find that poem of Roland's, and I wasn't sure if you wanted to read it. Yeah. I put the link in the chat section. And yeah, make sure you unmute. I know it might be a little hard there.
I can't hold the phone and read the poem because it's on, so I don't know where it is. Is it in the chat?
Yeah, but I can put it on the screen. How about that? Can I let me try
Yes.
something.
Or
Let's see if I can
read it.
There you go.
is that-
Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, I can read this.
I can read it gladly.
Okay, I'll do
Good.
it.
You see it? Okay, good. I wasn't
Yes,
sure
I
you
can
could
see
set
it.
up.
This is I Am Useful by Roland Sadowski. It was published in 2019. And if you're looking at me, you might be looking at him sleeping. We're going to read a poem of yours, Roland. I am useful. I carry out the trash, for example, if nagged about it constantly enough, tugging the bag from its chrome container, twisting and tying the top snapping out a proud new bag whose dreams of glory will crash on reefs of spoiled pears and used Kleenex. And I can do other important things, like go down in the basement, come back up. Or if there's a scrap of paper in the yard, I go get it, or shrug. It's just paper, you know, unless it's a $100 bill. If you see a $100 bill in my yard, leave it. It's mine. I have proof. If you see it, knock on my door. Tell me. I will mention your honesty often, especially at the liquor store when I'm spending my $100 bill.
Now, if that's not truth in poetry, I don't know what is.
That is good.
They're plotting you, dear.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Laura, for reading that.
That's
So,
awesome.
and I know you brought your book. If you would like to read a poem, or I thought of something is Allison, if there's a favorite poem, because I know both of y'all know each other's work intimately, and if there's a favorite poem or a suggestion, or if you already have a page open, it looked like Laura. So maybe we'll go there first.
I can do anything. But I'll read this one because I think it's on theme a little bit. It's called Breaking Down the Body Breaking Down. And this is from my book, The Book of Stolen Images, which was published by Meadowlark last year or the year before. And I think I need to tell you that a couple of times I quote Moby Dick in this poem, and I don't know if it's indicated well, or if I don't think I can hold the book and do air quotes. Anyway, well, the main thing you need to know is, like a lot of my poetry, it's leaping, and it's not one person. There's multiple people in this poem whose bodies are breaking down, including my dad does have Parkinson's, so that is in there, but there's also children. There's a lot of things. Okay, I'll read. There's an epigraph from Moby Dick. As they do hills about Boston to fill up some morass in the Milky Way. Section 1. Child, they've tied one arm to your body. They've put the clown patch over your left eye. 2. And you're listing to the lee side and also to the west. Take the fist, fingers balled, or what was the fist, the slipshod pinky slowly spilling out, leaking silver change over the counter so it drops back to the silver chute. Take the face. Take the care you take, barely a smile, behind your plasticized mask. Take plasticity and throw it into the sea. We'll break down the body into the ligament reconfigured like a bunion, the callus and the neuropathic heels. Your shuffle, drag, step, ball, shuffle, iron chain, an unsignified glance is compensation for the dance. The earth might be, quote, an empty cipher except to sell by the cartload, unquote, and the simplest limb restricted might as well be a star shooting down through the roof. You can't treat Parkinson's like a lazy eye or stroked out arm. The bowels might stop up like a rusted on screw until its head's worn out. The seawater floating above is your own wet air filling up the lung. What doesn't kill you makes you wish for something that will. 3. Let the babies struggle against the straps and patches. Let the playground bastards point and throw sticks. Every obstacle is the whale, and every obstacle is the bone we follow with our hooks and spears. There's the glow of oil in the lamp There's the glow of radiant pink in the cheek, but the ships go down, the rigs explode, the fish comes back with only you in its eye. Quote, why weary and palsy the arm at the oar and the iron and the lance? Behold, O Starbuck, for we go down, unquote, like Satan taking a little heaven into our hells.
Holy smoke, just burn it down. Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome. I'm no Roland Sadowski, but
Oh
you know.
my God. I just had to stick. What doesn't kill you will make you look for something that will. God. I couldn't even keep up with what I was trying to write. I wished I had taken some accurate amount of typing that didn't just involve my two peckers.
I think that should be put into like Bartlett's quotations or something under your name. That's
Okay.
got to be a famous quote
Right?
someday.
I feel like
Yeah,
I feel like
right?
I plagiarized it. I don't know. It feels like it should have already been said.
Maybe, but I don't know. I think you did.
I mean, I'm a big fan of that whole phrasing, and that's not one that I've taken that turn. So I don't know. You know. Oh my God, that is so good. Yeah. So I wanted to spotlight both of y'all just because y'all are amazing. And just say I love that Laura's first response when I reached out to her about coming and celebrating her most recent book was, that sounds great, but can I bring Allison? And so I said, I actually already have Allison scheduled, and y'all came up with this idea of kind of the shared thing. And I just really want to honor that sense of community. And that y'all's first response was so collaborative and shared. It doesn't surprise me. And I know y'all share word. Do you find that y'all inspire each other? Do you read a poem, Allison, that say Laura wrote and you think sparked something, or vice versa, out of curiosity?
I'm sure that when I first started writing a lot of my work, I was stealing and borrowing from Laura. I think, now I'm a little further away from that, especially since we don't have writing group together. But when in writing group, you steal from each other pretty often. What do you think, Laura?
Well, I think when we were in writing group, which was through the pandemic, right? When things were still Zoom, that we definitely gave each other a lot of feedback. And whenever the other people in the writing group would say, change this or whatever, I would write to Allison, no, don't. And she would write back to me, no, I get it. So, but right now we're writing together a little thing, right, Allison?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yes.
I wrote, she asked me some questions, and I think some other people too. And I wrote a response, and then she wrote a response, and I put it in syllabic, so she was mad at me. And then I've written another one, and I'm waiting for her to come back.
Because there were more lines and syllables this time.
Well, I had more to say. I have words. I don't think I steal from Allison though. She's just on another plane from me.
I just felt like there was a connection between you two, and I'm not surprised there's something maybe collaborative in the works. That makes me happy. That's kind of what I was going to encourage. Wasn't already happening. And so, yay. I 100% support that. That's awesome. Well, I'm going to move on to the spotlights and just take a moment to say thank you so much for being here today, and for everybody that's here and supporting. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think we will move to open mic. Let me get my list. I was like, I think I had my list. Persea, I think we'll start with you because I know you might have something happening in the next few minutes. So
Okay, thank you. Okay, so for those of you who know me, I am